Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this meditation session this Friday. Today's session will be 30 minutes, led by Aparna Sadananda. After it concludes, we will also have a spotlight talk about the artwork that Aparna will include in the meditation today. That will be led by Deborah Diamond, Curator of South and Southeast Asian Art at the Freer and Sackler. At this point, I will turn it over to Aparna.
Thank you so much, Grace, for opening the session. And just before we start, please make sure that your microphones are muted. This will allow us to have the best possible audio quality as we present to you this art-based meditation. So let's settle down in a comfortable posture and find a tall spine, relaxed shoulders. And friends, as we may have experienced in the past several meditations, one of the pursuits of a meditative practice is to feel the layers surrounding anything so we can really get to the essence of that. So it's like freeing what we're focusing on of its external form and being able to connect with its inner being, the very essence that it is trying to represent. So once we connect with that essence, it becomes possible to express it in as many different ways as possible. And today's work of art speaks to that possibility. So let me present to you this work, which is titled Hemla Ragaputra, a folio from the Ragamala series. So please take your time to look at this work of art. We're absorbing it all in its entirety, noticing what we can as we are. The Hemla Ragaputra, a folio from the Ragamala series. So what is this about? We might be coming up with these questions in our mind. We'll, of course, learn a lot more about this from the Spotlight talk by Deborah, but just to give us an introduction to what this work of art represents, it is from a Ragamala series. And a Ragamala consists of two words, Raga and Mala means garland, so Ragamala is a garland of ragas. Now, in Indian classical music, Raga represents a melodic framework. It has ascending notes, descending notes, and certain sequences of notes that are the quintessence of that raga. For instance, if we look at Rag Yaman, the notes are like this. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So it has all the notes of the octave. There's an ascending note set and then a descending note, and it has all the 7 notes in both ascending and descending. And it has a sequence of notes, which you'll find in this offering here. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa ni da pa ma ga re ga ni re sa. So as you can see, there are these sequences like Nirega here, and we can improvise on that melodic framework to create a certain mood. So what if this mood could be expressed in the form of poetry, and that poetry is then represented in the form of a painting, a visual. And that becomes this Ragamala painting. And as it says, Ragamala series, usually these are paintings of different ragas composed in like one bundle. And one of them is what we are presenting to you today. So let's go back to take a look at the Hemla Ragaputra. As the name suggests, it is a Ragaputra, Putra meaning son. So it is the son of some raga, which we'll learn about later. And it is supposed to convey a certain emotion, a certain mood. Now, right now, we might not know what mood this painting represents, but let's just look at it in a way that we can connect with it with a sense of empathy. So I'll be quiet for a few moments here and let me allow you to observe the details of this painting as we zoom through it while listening to the music in the background. Take a moment, just think about what is invoked in our awareness as we look at this painting. But now, we'll try to understand this painting by gazing at it in a way that we can embody what is shown in this painting. And maybe from that experience, we will be able to synthesize our own, perhaps unique understanding of this painting. So let's bring our attention to the gesture and the posture of this person represented here. So if you wish to sit like him, maybe on the floor, or if you're on a chair, you may simply cross your left leg over, like you're wrapping around, and then lifting up the spine. Again, this is an option. If you're interested in exploring it, please feel free to. Otherwise, you can sit in any way that's comfortable. And just as we take on that posture, we close our eyes and just notice if something has changed in our conscious experience. If you're not able to see or notice anything, just come back to a comfortable seated posture. And let's check in with the body. Notice what are the sensations in the feet, in the legs, the hips and feet, the lower back, upper back, the chest and the waist, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the fingers, the fingertips, sensations specifically in the thumbs, the index finger, middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger. Sensations in the neck, the face, the head. We've connected energetically with our attention to the entire body. So we know of that experience that's happening right now in the body, just as we are. This becomes the normal, like the blank canvas, on which any new sensation could be observed with a little more ease and clarity. So now if you wish to cross the left leg over the right, slightly changing your posture, and keeping the lower legs close to each other, close to the body, squaring the hips, and sitting up tall. Let's notice if this slight change in the posture has changed the way energy moves, either in the legs, hips, that are obviously involved in sitting in this posture. Maybe even the arms and the rest of the body. What are the qualities that we feel invoked as we adopt this posture? Then we could open our eyes to gaze at the painting again. Noticing the details of smaller gestures like the hand mudra, in the left hand, touching the tip of the thumb and the tip of the ring finger, and what may be called as the Prithvi mudra or the earth mudra. Notice how it feels to engage the hands and fingers in this mudra. We choose to close our eyes and go into that inner experience. How does it feel in the fingers? What do we observe along the wrists and the arms? Is there anything else it invokes in other spaces of the body? Let this hand mudra feel sustainable for the next few minutes. We'll continue to hold the hand in that gesture, the left hand in Prithvi mudra. And then with our right hand, imagine we're holding a rosary, a mala bead. Then instead of closing the eyes or lowering the gaze, just letting the gaze fixate onto something right in front of the eyes. So we're completely mirroring the body language, the person represented in this Hemla Ragaputra. notice that we're holding the breath as we pay attention. Just relax. Just explore being in this posture, one breath at a time. And know that if it gets too uncomfortable, you can always come out of it. If you feel like you can come back to this posture again. Let's meditate here for a few moments. Maybe we close our eyes. Just processing the inner experience. When that is complete, we could open our eyes, either continuing in that same posture, the hand mudras. Look at this painting now and see if what we think about the painting may have changed. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. Both experiences are equally valid. Now that we have focused on the central representation in this painting, the central person here, bring our awareness to the surroundings that he's in. Paying attention to this hill-like structure that he's seated and contemplating on. Perhaps wondering what this represents, the wiggly lines, the different shades of green, terracotta colors, the browns. Maybe zooming into it with our attention to notice those tiny line marks, the dots of red. Maybe zooming in further. Zooming out of all of this. Now come back to our cells, the body. Maybe continuing to hold the hand mudras and mirroring the body language, the person in this painting. And noticing that all of this is happening right where we are, in that space we're meditating and connecting to each other from. Like we know that we're here now. But what if we could transport ourselves to that same place on the hilltop as shown in this painting? Like we're climbing this hill, a journey that represents spiritual ascension. We could imagine ourselves standing at the base of this hill, committing to attempt this journey of spiritual ascension in all sincerity, coming into this journey just as we are, using all that we have, so we can climb this hill to the best of our abilities. With that intention of being committed to this journey, imagine we're walking up, walking past babbling brooks and streams, taking in the cool hill air. The sun shining and providing us just the right kind of warmth. Then when we feel like we need to take a break, we find ourselves sitting where we are on the hill. Taking a moment to reflect and review our efforts in this journey. Spending a few moments there in self-study. As we reflect inwards, we find many things that we could just release our attachment to. Aspects of the self that are no longer serving us in this purpose of spiritual ascension. But imagine we're releasing all that load off as we continue our journeys to climb up, one step at a time, one breath at a time. Trusting that no matter how arduous this uphill climb may be, we have it in us to reach the top. So we slowly inch our way up to the top and seat ourselves just like this person in the painting, to gaze at the scenery right in front of the eyes. Taking in a wide view, as if we're taking in a wider view of our entire lives. Contemplating, noticing the relative relevances of all the smaller events in the context of this bigger picture. Just be in that space for the next few moments. The mind wanders away, but you can always come back to the body, the sensations, the breath. Witness all that's happening in response to these efforts to understanding this painting. Let's give ourselves a minute more to check in and observe. When we feel that we have found our own meaning to this painting, from this place of cultivating empathy with what the eyes see, slowly open our eyes. Continue to look at the painting. Like now there is a energy, a force that is flowing, connecting us. The representation here. This energy between the energy that we are and the creative energy of the artist, as they must have painted this. When that feels complete, let go of all the postural adjustments we made. Come back to a seated position. Palms folded in prayer or namaste. We're first offering the namaste to the self. We're taking this time to slow down and mindfully look at the Hemla Ragaputra. Also offer a namaste to the artist or the artists who created this painting that so many centuries later become a subject of meditation and contemplation. Let this namaste be a bow to the creative energy of those artists. Also thank all the teachers of yoga and music for imparting this knowledge and wisdom through the centuries. Today we could illuminate ourselves in the light of yoga and meditation. And finally, a namaste to all of you. Like we're saying to each other, the light in me honors the light in you. Thank you all so much for coming along with me in this journey today. I hope you enjoyed this meditation and you found it inspire something within you. I would love to hear from you about what do you think this painting represents as we move into the spotlight talk by Deborah. And if you're signing off, I wish you the most mindful of the weekend, and I hope to see you again on Monday. Please take care. If you feel like staying back, please do stay back and share your thoughts while we also listen to the spotlight talk by Deborah. Namaste, everybody, once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aparna, for that beautiful journey through a painting. And now I'm really pleased to introduce Deborah Diamond, one of our curators at Freer and Sackler, who will share a little bit of her knowledge about this artwork with us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Aparna, that was really beautiful. And I don't want to bring everyone back down to earth. I will try and keep you in the Himalayas, at the very least. Let me share my screen. See if I can. Oh, okay. So the painting that we've been looking at today was made here in Chamba, by the side of the Ravi River, in a kingdom that lasted almost a millennium, from the 10th century to 1948, when it joined the nation state of India. It's in the Himalayas, in northwest India, in the state called Himachal Pradesh. And the painting, it's a tiny little thing. It's only 8.5 inches high. And it was made on paper, and you were supposed to pick it up and hold it in your hand and look at it from a very intimate distance. That's why it has those yellow borders. That's to protect the delicate, opaque watercolor and gold. And we'll try through the details, like Aparna has been showing us, what the connoisseur who looked at it might have seen as he or she picked it up in their hands. It was made around 1700, and this was a time when in North Indian court painting, Hindu and Muslim courts, yogis were a cherished and favorite theme in paintings. Musicological and poetic treatises were all the rage. And Ragamala sets, consequently, these groups of paintings that represented the different musical modes of Indian classical music were made in every court, where a king or a ruler wanted to appear cultivated. The raga is called Hemla or Himal, or sometimes Hemal. They're all variations of the word that we would use, which is Himalayas. So it's a reference to the mountains. And as a Ragamala painting, it was meant to convey the mood and the essence of the rag. It's ascending and descending scales, its characteristic motifs, but most importantly, its emotional impact on the listener who was cultivated and receptive. And at the same time, it was also the image that a connoisseur would call to mind when he or she was listening to the raga. And today, Hemal is lost. Many ragas are lost. So this painting is kind of what we have left. It's an echo of a musical event. So we don't know exactly how it sounded, but you all now know exactly how it felt. Try and show you what the artist did. So I wanted to stop for a moment at the Himalayan peak on which the sage is meditating, because where you meditate is quite important. And this is a Himalayan mountain, and of all the mountains in India, these are the most sacred in the Indian poetic imagination, but also in Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism. Because these mountains are so sacred, they're the most powerful places to meditate. And the artist in painting these was like really having fun with this medium of opaque watercolor. He used these translucent washes in teals and rust colors and grays. And then he, used his brush to make these very sort of energetic, almost nervous little strokes. You get this sense of sort of surging and moving rocks. Look even closer, as you would if you were a connoisseur picking up the painting, to get a sense of movement. And when I first saw the painting, which was just a couple of years ago, I was really surprised because these horizontal lines are quite unusual. So I was thinking that maybe they were there for energy, but now I'm also kind of thinking that they might be a reference to the terraced hillsides of Chamba. And again, playing with the possibilities of dilute watercolor, the artist has, depicted these clouds, just letting the water sort of spread out and have that quality of being almost full of rain ready to burst. And it does look like what we see, in Chamba on a beautiful day. But overall, this is not a paint. The artist was not trying to capture reality. He was trying to capture the essence or the mood. So this deep Indian red background, those impossibly tall trees, and actually this implausibly small Himalayan peak are all part of building up layer by layer a kind of painterly and emotional intensity that would altogether convey Hemla. Aparna has pointed out that the sage is sitting in an asana. Asana literally means like to sit still. So he's very still in this posture. And he has his hands in a mudra, which again sort of channels the energy around the body. So at the same time that it's still, there's almost like a musical contrast with his delicate sort of little shawl, which is fluttering in an unseen breeze, and his hair, his long locks, which are slightly quivering. And he's also wearing, quite a massive amount of jewelry. So either the hair, this little delicate little curls, and the jewelry the hair is a reference to the dreadlocks or jata of an Indian, sage, a renouncer, an ascetic, a yogi. And the gold jewelry, it's real gold, actually ground into paint and applied here, so it glitters when you pick it up. And the gold jewelry could be then a reference to this is a way of showing him as a high-level, exceedingly accomplished, ascetic or sage. Or it could be a reference to a king, to a ruler, or a prince. Say this is Ragaputra, which actually means it's a princely raga, and that it's painted for a king of Chamba or a prince of Chamba who was an aesthete, a cultivated listener who would imagine himself sort of embodying sort of the stillness of a yogi while listening to the composition. So all in all, it's really sort of an extraordinary little painting. This contrast between sort of shiny, opaque body of the yogi with his swoop nose and kind of bruised eyes, and the sort of vividly sort of imaginative, landscape with surging rocks. And again, all together, they were meant to sort of create a sense of, utter stillness and vitality, in the midst of the sacred Himalayan mountains for a prince or a ruler of Chamba around 1700. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. We had some really interesting comments coming in the chat. Aparna, would you mind sharing the artwork one more time? so we can continue to look at it. A few people were asking, or were commenting that it almost looks like to them like there are people or faces or bodies sort of hidden within the mountain. That just some of those shapes almost seemed like human forms to them. Other people were commenting that they really like the texture and the color combinations, and it feels very modern to them. And there was a question about the red background, the sort of red-brown background below the sky, and what the significance of that is, and also what is the significance of the white line or the material on the figure's forehead?
Okay, so the marks on the yogi, I'm going to call him a yogi because we know he's doing yoga. The marks on the yogi's forehead and also on his chest are sectarian marks, and they indicate that he's a devotee of the great god Shiva, who happens to live in the Himalayas because he's sort of an extraordinary meditator and ascetic. The significance of the red background, its significance is that it's creating an emotional mood and a feeling, not to capture a specific place. It evokes a place, but to create feeling. What were the other questions, Grace?
There are a couple other questions have just come in. Is there a significance in the white stars surrounding the mountain? And what kinds of trees do you think those are?
We don't know what kinds of trees they are. They appear in a lot of paintings from Chamba. The little stars, those are little flowers. This is a delightful, magical mountain with little red and little white flowers. So they were part of this, I think, this sort of syncopation, that animates this painting with these very elegant sort of trees, very still yogi, and then these, little bursts of flowers and surging rocks. So there's all this sort of play between opaque paint and watery paint, and between stillness and motion, that the artist is playing with in order to sort of create this emotion. What's another question?
Did you have any comment about, people were asking about, do you think the artist intended to make the mountain almost look like there were human figures or faces in it?
North Indian painting after sort of 1550 owes a lot to Persian painting. And in Persian painting of that time, artists would sometimes put faces in rocks. So it's possible that idea, or that somehow got to Chamba in the Himalayas by 1700. But the artist didn't do it, and we don't see it up there, so I'm not sure. But definitely that sense of, being alive and having movement is there.
Thank you so much to Deborah and Aparna both for sharing your knowledge with us and for taking us through this artwork in the meditation today.